Bear's here to say hi to you. As you guys know, I love talking to my cats. And Bear's here because, you remember Panzer, you guys? He's the one that transitioned about a year and a half ago. And then his brother Jack transitioned. Well, now it's just me and Bear. And Bear's saying, I want to get down now. He says hello, but he's got to go. So we'll let Bear... Thank you, Bear. Love you. So you guys, anyway, the topic of the conversation today on this episode is going to be animal communication. You guys know how much I love that. So welcome to Creative Visions TV. I'm your host, Karen Dahlman. And today we have a very special guest that will be joining us, who is a fantastic animal communicator. Now, you guys know, often on the show, Rodney and I bring through different various mystery guests. And often those mystery guests are animals. You know, some type of creature. It could be a wild animal. It could be a domestic animal. It could even be the cryptids. So I've been searching out for a really solid, good, strong, and also remarkable animal communicator. And you guys, I found her. And so I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about her. She is not only an animal communicator, she's very talented and gifted in other areas too. So she's like an energy healer, she's an ascension healer, she's a guide to people, she's a spiritual teacher, she's a channel of multidimensional aspects of herself, and so much more. So the story goes like this, you guys. I've been thinking about getting a really good animal communicator on the show, and lo and behold, in December 2019, I heard on Coast to Coast AM this guest talking about her work with the animals. And I was reminded once again, I knew about her from before, but I was reminded about how remarkable her work really was and how soul felt it was too, and how she was really trying to bring together the animals and humanity and tell us what our secret and special relationship is. So as synchronicity would have it, lo and behold, her publicist reached out to me, and he reaches out to me every now and then. And there's some guests that have been on the show that come from him. And he said, what do you think about this guest? And I was like, yeah, sign me up. And you guys, the rest is history. So I'm just going to bring her on. She used to live in New York, and now she's living in Florida, but she's traveled all over the world. So without further ado, I'd love for you guys to meet and welcome Lori Spagna to the show. Welcome, Lori, welcome.
Hi, Karen. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited about our conversation today.
Me
I'm really looking
too.
forward to being here.
And I'm stoked you would come and join us. You guys, she's very busy. I know we're filming this right before the Conscious Life Expo. She will be there. I will plan on seeing her there as well. But she's got a lot going on. She's traveling all over the place. So let's get started. I mean, I know you shared this story before, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about what even got you started in animal communication, of all things.
Well, actually, what got me started was I always loved animals, and I was working, out of college in corporate America, actually, for the first 20 years after college, and I was really miserable, but I would do volunteer projects around the world, and I had this mantra in my head back then. I wasn't really on like a conscious spiritual path, although I was always into like tarot cards and, readings, those kinds of spiritual books and stuff, but I had a mantra that I wanted to be of service to animals on a global scale. And I never really knew what that meant. I just wanted to make the world a better place for animals globally. So what ultimately happened was my brother died of an unexpected drug overdose. And I started getting very clear messages like, hey, Law, it's your dead brother, Jeff. He was from New York. He had that New York accent. And he was a comedian. And I mean, I just kept working with that and testing it, like, I was so incredulous in the beginning, but he was my awakening. And, that led to me being able to quit my 6-figure job, or I took a leap of faith. I became a dog trainer. I was working for a gentleman who spent 20 years working for the military, training their animals. And after he was done, he started his own business, and he recruited me and trained me. And while he was training me, he was videotaping me, and I had to do everything on automatic pilot, and I would hear the dogs. And they would say, you listen to me, and I will teach you. And that's where it started. That's
amazing. So when you heard, so people on this channel love animal communication, and a lot of people here that tune in and just love the animals too. How do you hear it? Is it actual literal hearing? Is it more of a feeling? Explain that to us, how it comes.
for me, the hearing is clairaudience. So I will hear it in my head, but it's not something I invoke. It just, especially in the earlier days, I wouldn't ask for it or invoke it. It would come in, and it'd be like, what was that? You know, that's how it started. Like, what is this? Like, what's going on here? I'm hearing voices. And, you know, you think you're crazy in the really early stages, if you're not trained, if you're not actively seeking it. So I was testing it and, seeking validation. And that's how it developed. It became a game in the early stages. Like, okay, if this is really happening, then show me this, or help me understand this, or teach me something I don't know and couldn't know and never knew. That was one of the big questions I would ask in the early stages.
So is more getting the validation. This is important. People ask this question a lot of me when we talk about animal communication. How do you know it's maybe my transition cat? How do I know it's that dog over there talking to me? So for you, you would ask for validation. Can you give us an example, like a specific one?
Yeah, I mean, then the development of the validation is a huge thing. So I'll just say one of the most biggest ones that is, for me, really huge was when I was first connecting with my brother. This wasn't so much, but it's a good validation example. It's not so much animals, but I was asking for validation. I was like, in the initial stages, it was like, okay, if this is really Jeff, you know, like rolling my eyes initially, show me a pot leaf. And then I'd start seeing pot leaves everywhere because he was a pot smoker.
Okay.
Like, all right, show me the Grateful Dead. But then it started to intensify because I kept dismissing it. I'd be like, okay, that's too easy now. Too easy. Show me something that's really, really undeniable. And then the book he gave me, the book we got together, the last time we were together alive, when he was alive, was in Key West, Florida. And the Ghosts of Key West book that we bought together on the Ghosts of Key West tour was sticking out of the bookshelf. That was weird. Like, I'm meticulous. Then there was another one. I was like, okay, if you can do that, show me something even more wild, just like that. One of the Christmas gifts he gave me was No Doubt, a CD by the band No Doubt. And one day that was on the floor. That was so weird. How did it end up on the floor?
Yeah.
And I mean, he later said, like, I can't do the physical stuff that much. It's really hard. It's hard to exert energy into the physicality. So don't keep asking for that and expecting that. The final one was, this is the final example that was just so mind-blowing. I was walking down the street of Los Angeles at the time I was living there. I was about to move to Maui. And I had kind of stopped asking for validation, but there was points where I was asking for him to validate by giving me the name Herkimer. Now, I understand I didn't know what a Herkimer diamond was then, but he had a wolf dog that's name was Herkimer. And I thought, that's the hardest thing you could possibly
Oh, my
know.
gosh, yes.
I'm walking down the street one day, and I'm looking at the ground, thinking about my move to Maui. And I hear in my head, stop, look up. What? Stop, look up. 3 times, stop, look up. I stop, I look up, and there is a sign, Herkimer Diner.
Oh, right there.
It was just, I was done. It was done.
So for you, it took
But
about...
I already knew. I already knew.
You already trusted it, but it took you 3 times, kind of 3 validations. So I want everybody out there to listen. You could ask for validation. You may not get it the way you expect it to come. But you, on the last incidents, you pushed it and said, this is what I want. So that's kind of cool. You could try that too, you guys. Because people all the time, Lori, ask, how do I validate this is what I'm getting? Is this real? Or am I just going cuckoo?
Yeah, you ask to be shown things that, I mean, in the early stages, I didn't ask for anything that extreme, like a pot leaf. Big deal. I saw pot leaves everywhere, paintings and stickers. But once I started bumping it up, it's really great if you can ask for validation of something that you wouldn't normally see, that would have significance and be relevant, or see or hear or connect with, and then ask for that. You have to be clear. Don't just show it to me because I'm manifesting it.
Right.
Show it to me because it is real, that real, true, authentic validation.
And it represents a connection between you and your brother, or the person you're trying to reach, or the animal you're trying to reach. So then let's fast forward now to you're working with this gentleman who had the dogs that used to be in the military. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Police force? Yeah. And so are these canine units then we're talking about?
Well, when I was working for him, I was just being trained to become a dog trainer.
Ah.
So we would go to high kill animal shelters actually,
Oh.
and we would have to do training there on videotape and hours every day. We weren't even allowed to touch any clients or dogs until the training. The training was a year, and he was thorough. So all that time, I'm not telling anyone that this is going on really. I'm just learning it on my own. I wasn't taking any classes. In fact, by the time I took an animal communication and telepathy class, it was like 4 years later when I started thinking, I want to teach other people how to do this. I'm so good at it. So I just want to see how someone teaches it because I never taught it.
But by the way, you guys, she does have several books out there about animal communication. Best-selling author, by the way, of these books. So we'll have links below to all that information because they're awesome. Okay, so you start hearing these voices and you start realizing it's the animals talking to you. They're here to teach you. Okay, there's so much here to unravel or uncover. And so let's start peeling away the layers. What is some of the things that you started learning from some of these animals, and who were these animals that actually started teaching you?
All right. Well, so of course it started with dogs, but it just quickly branched out to every animal. Every animal I ever met, I would just start tuning in and being like, can we converse? Can we connect? What can you share with me? What would you like to share with me? Or what would you like to know or understand from me? The biggest initial lesson right away was number one, first and foremost, if you want to help us, you're going to have to help humans. We have a mission here. We're here to help humans. And that was revealed over time, consistently, over and over again, that they were here to help us to awaken, to help us to understand more about our world and the things beyond the physical world. So that was just made clear over and over again from every animal species. And then I would start to learn how to connect in with collectives and groups too. And then they would teach me about how they all have, as collectives, individual group agreements. So for example, cows teach us about nurturing and caring and mothering, caring for offspring. That's part of why they give us their breast milk. It's like how to take care of ourselves, self-love, self-care. Wolves teach about, and felines teach about, felines have a separate agenda, but group, working in a group, leadership, collaboration, partnership, team mentality. I mean, that's the whole pride and pack mentality. Of course, cats have a whole separate agenda. They're also teaching about interdimensional existence, how to connect, processing, like non-physical presences from other dimensions. They are massive guardians, just like your cat is. Your cat is that. So, I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, they all have agendas and they all have ways that they're teaching us. But can I say one other thing here, Karen?
Please.
Is that one of the hugest things they're teaching us is about energy and how energy works. And they are all empaths. I call our animals, especially our companion animals, the ultimate empaths. So they feel energetically what we feel emotionally and physically. And they often are absorbing it. Almost always. They're absorbing it, and even behaviorally, they're reflecting it. So they're demonstrating to us who we are as mirror reflections, and they do it in a way without the judgment or the differentiation of right or wrong or good or bad. They just are reflecting it for us to help to become more conscious of who we are, what we're working through, what we're resolving or addressing, to reflect it to us in a very neutral way.
That's really well said. And you guys, I really like the fact when she talks about there's this oversoul of these animals that you can communicate with too. And that's, Lori, that's what I mostly speak with when I speak to the animals. We will speak with individual animals, but we'll speak to the collective oversoul consciousness of that species, and it'll come through. And if people watch me on the show, when I do the talking board and speak to them, they will come through in that one quadrant, who we call Papa, just the name, kind of like their guides, and that consciousness will come through. So when I heard Lori talk about that on Coast to Coast, you guys, I went, I've got to meet this woman. I don't hear too many people saying that. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's seeing it very similarly, but she had some unique perspectives to it. And Lori, I got to say, everything I hear too is these animals are here are master teachers and healers. Can you speak to that a little bit more? Like we think we rescue animals. This is what they always tell us, especially Panzer, my transition black cat. He's like this wise sage, which he always was, but especially in the other dimension in spirit, he comes back and shares like, we are here. You think you rescued us. We rescued you. We're here to teach this. And they're very specific about it. But please speak to that a little bit more, because I think this gets people excited.
I love this. Well, first, understand rescue animals have their own submission too. And part of that is to help people understand and learn their value and worth. Because through the service that we do to those rescue animals, we learn value and worth. We learn how to care and have more compassion. So there's a really large component to that. But the other part too that's really, really helpful, I think, is when animals are teaching, like, especially in this area of rescue work, what they're really teaching is about how to transform the way we perceive things. So for example, when rescue workers post things and animal lovers post things or share things publicly, whether it's through advertising or Facebook posts, social media, whatever, about the pain and suffering, that's a big no-no in the animals world. They actually say you're perpetuating and adding to and intensifying the pain and suffering that we're going through. And instead, what we want you to do is post all the good news things that are happening for us. Like, for example, how 100,000 more were rescued and saved, or 50 million more were prevented from euthanasia, unnecessary, that kind of thing. They want us to put our attention on the good and the positive that's working for them, not to abandon the plight necessarily, but rather refocus. That's just basic law of attraction stuff, right?
Well, if you think about it, you what you focus on is what you get. But also they say, don't be what you're against, be what you're for.
Right.
If you're for peace in the world, be for peace, not I'm against war. So I know what you're saying. And I heard her say this too on Coast, and I was like, that's just so correct. I understand that. But what do you say to people who are going to say, yeah, but I want to put it out there, this animal needs to be rescued. How can I do it in a way, Lori, that's supporting the animals in a healthy manner and not perpetuating the terror and the abuse?
Right. I mean, this is part of almost, I don't want to call it like a challenge, but it's how the animals are inviting us to learn, for us to even ask that question. As an intuitive show, the moment we ask a question, just the one you just did, how can I put this out there and help this animal in a way that is positive and beneficial and truly helpful? Even if we just ask that question of the universe, we will find the answer within us, because it will, law of cause and effect immediately creates, law of synchronicity immediately responds. The answer will come to you. That said, I'll provide my version of the answer, or some partial version of that answer, is to start saying, wow, this animal's so amazing. You too can really help make a difference for animals by rescuing or contributing or being a foster parent. Or this shelter has made such amazing, like Best Friends, a good example. Best Friends animal, their no-kill shelter. Look at all the difference Best Friends has made and how many animals, XYZ number of service animals they have saved from euthanasia with their service. It's just focusing on the positive and pointing out the amazing thing. And then the call to action is, please make a donation. Please make a contribution. Please foster. Please support. Please promote. Post this post. Whatever the call to action is.
I think that's fantastic. So again, you guys, let's think about what we can be for, not what we're against, and how to ask that question. As Lori said, Bear just came back. See, he's like, I want to be a part of the show. Did you see that? Lori, I got to tell you, and you guys that are watching, I swear to God, as soon as Lori and I got on before we even started the show, he was bouncing up and down the walls. And he said, I heard him say, I'll be on the show, Karen. But he's like, he just wanted to come back up here because he's like, I kind of didn't do what I was supposed to do, and I'm back.
I think he might make a few more little jumps in there, at least one.
Was that cute? He just like pops in.
He's a free spirit.
He's a free spirit. And then she was telling me, she was doing a little reading on my, I wasn't asking her to, but that's just what happens when you get on people that are so in tune to the animals. They want to tell you what they experience and feel. Now he's behind my computer walking around making faces at me, but that's cute. I think, Lori, you're part of, he's like probably responding to your energy and my energy too, of course. But he goes, that lady can see into my head and my heart.
Right.
Now, Lori, you have a fantastic story. I'm sure if you know Lori, you might have heard the story before, but I want her to share it because it's really so cool. It's a story about the horse when you first started reading. Do you mind sharing that, Lori?
Yeah, and then I would love to share another one about a pig. Oh my
Oh
God.
God, I don't know the pig story. So go horse, then go pig.
Yeah, what happened with the horse was I was living in Maui at the time. I was working as a dog trainer, but I was already doing animal communication. I just wasn't doing it professionally yet. Mm-hmm. And I was on Craigslist at the time. That was really a big, popular thing. And somebody from another island, Oahu, had posted that she was looking for an animal communicator to help her with a horse. So I wrote back to her and I said, look, I'm pretty new at it. I'm developing my skills. I can't promise anything, but I'm willing to do my best as a gift, of course, no charge. And I can give you whatever I get if you'd like. And if you would like, just write me back, send a picture of the animal. Do not tell me a single thing other than the picture. So she did. She wrote me back and she said, yes, thank you so much. Here's a picture of this foal. And the thing was, I couldn't really, I said, make sure the eyes are in the picture. So I couldn't really see any of the body or anything, but I could see the foal and I could see the mother and the picture of the mother. That's all I knew, mother and child, mother and foal. And I connected in, and all I kept hearing, I felt like really blocked. I kept hearing, I'm blocked, I'm stumped, I'm stumped. I kept hearing the word stumped, I'm stumped. And then I heard go below the knee. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. I can't go below the knee. There's no picture. I can't even look. I don't know. And I wasn't advanced enough to understand what all that meant. But anyway, I wrote back to the woman and that's what I said. I was like, look, I'm really stumped. I'm sorry. I just keep hearing I'm stumped and I think I'm blocking myself. And I heard the words go below the knee, but I don't know what that means. And she wrote back to me and she's like, Lori, we had to amputate below the knee. Can you please do it again? See what else you get. So I'm encouraged because at least I'm stumped means I'm stumped, right? I got that. She didn't tell me anything else. And I went back and then this is what I heard. There's bad people around me. They want to kill me. Tell them to go away. I want to live. And oh, by the way, can you tell the nice ones to give me some more carrots? So that's what I wrote back to her. And she wrote back to me. That's exactly right. We had doctors and vets and they wanted to euthanize and we didn't know what was right. That's why we were looking for for an animal communicator. And that's now that you told us that we are going to get a prosthetic. We just didn't know what was right to do. Oh, wow. So that changed my life, that reading.
That still makes you emotional, doesn't it?
Yeah. My heart warms, because there's in our human reality, we value life. If we have any real care, we value life, especially those of us who love animals. We value their life. So I saved a life.
And you can see how important it is for us to be in tune to our animals. And I want to talk about this a little bit later in the show. I want to hear about your pig story for sure. Oh, yeah. But I do want you to also talk to people if they want to start doing this work, maybe some tips and techniques. I share a lot of them, but I want to hear from somebody else too. But I got emotional on that because, people that just love animals and just love humanity or even just sentient beings, you feel that energy when you hear that story. And it just touches me too. So thank you for sharing that.
And also because, in the after effect, it opened the minds of so many people just through hearing that story. Because I have told that story before. And just it expands our awareness. It's like when we realize how conscious these animals are, how sentient they are, and that they do have free will. And that in a sense, the universe was responding to that foal's desire to live through the fields of existence. Across 2 islands through the internet, that foal's desire to live was responded to as well. That's just and then the humans involved who got that information. And the prosthetic, that information, that storyline was passed on.
That's amazing.
So had a ripple effect that was very significant.
Yeah, I kept hearing reverberation. The reverberation of that desire was so strong that it reached you. Like you said, you're a couple islands away and through the internet and just through a picture. Right. So that's the power.
I was just a vehicle of the universe in a sense. I was just a tool of the universe to be a translator.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I want to say too, when people that do this work, that's what you are when you do this kind of work. Any kind of this channeling work, you were just the vehicle for it. That's what I always say about the board. Don't get upset about the board. The board's just a vehicle that I am able to reach into these realms, and it's not me, it's the universe coming through. So this is very similar to what we talk about on this channel. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yes. Well, so the other thing is too that, by the way, I learned how to channel by using a board, not the same one you use. I've seen when I tuned into your show, after I knew that it was presented to me, I saw that board and I totally get it. I don't know if that's your board, if you created it, but I also used a different board, and I would just play with it, and I just started channeling first for myself, then for my friends, and then without the board. Now I can, when I do like my group calls, or I do something called DNA activation calls, I do like webinars and things, and it's all channeled. It's direct channel.
It is, and I've heard you on John Burroughs' show, I believe it was.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I've been knowing about her for a long time, you guys. That's why I was so excited to get her on my show. But that's interesting. Now, before we go on to the pig story, tell us though, what do you think about talking boards? And you used them. You're not afraid of them. This is something new I learned about Lori right now, you guys.
I love them. I get the thing about the Ouija board. And the reason is, you understand, our beliefs, our belief systems, energetic frequencies, and vibrations match. So Ouija board has a role in history. There's a lot of beliefs and belief systems attached to it and connected to it. There are frequencies of energy that vibrate in harmony with that range. I don't play with Ouija boards. Okay. I'm not interested in that stuff. But a board, I mean, and I get it. The reason I don't play with Ouija boards is only because of that, because the vibratory frequency, there's no wrongness of it. There's no badness. It's effective. It's an effective tool. If you, whoever you may be, are aligned or clear, pure intention, it can be clear, pure intention for you. That's really what the issue is. Nonetheless, I love boards. Mm-hmm. And it really does depend on who you are as an individuation of source, as an individuated being, what your intention is. It also depends on the intent of the creator of the board, the purity of the creator, I believe, what they were bringing through. So I tuned into your board when I saw it. I thought it was beautiful.
Which board was that? Was that the Luna board?
You have more than one, right?
Oh, I've got I think I'm almost to 50 nowadays. I collect boards. But you might have, if you saw one recently with Lauren, was it with the woman? And was I talking with the woman? It was a board that was a round board?
No, it was not a round board.
Angel board?
I thought it had Akashic Records was in it, if I remember.
Oh, well, then I have one Egyptian board. I have
a lot of boards.
It wasn't Egyptian? Well, I have a lot of boards that...
been angels, but I thought it was the records, but definitely. And I just was like, that's a beautiful board. I'd like to know where she got that.
Oh, it could be. It could be my animal, all that is board. So I have so many boards that people make for me, and people on my show know this. They design them, they craft them one of a kind and send them to me, and I am so blessed because I have all these beautiful boards, and I like to clear them and make them my own. But you guys, you got to hear what she said about intention. And absolutely, I concur. There's a vibration associated with certain, like the Ouija traditional board, although I love those. It's because everybody's put so much negativity or stigma towards it that you can resonate in that frequency. So it's important to get your energy where you want it to be. You guys, even when you do animal communication, you want to reach that realm of the animals. You want to raise your energy to their level. And I'm not saying one level is higher or lower. I'm just saying to that frequency where they exist. That's kind of how I explain it. It's like dialing up the old-fashioned rotary phones. You dial up a number that corresponds to your friend you're going to call, or even push on your phone, your smartphones these days. You tap in your little number, and that matches the frequency of that person on the other end. So that's how you do it with your intentions. That's how I see it.
It is. It's all vibrational match. Everything is a vibrational match. So when we understand that, what we're bringing into any of our endeavors, whether it's working with a board or whether it's communicating with an animal. A really great example of this is you could be communicating with an animal. And I mean, this has happened in my classes that I teach. You get an image of like a red type of ball or blob of red. One person's interpretation is that they sleep on a red bed. Another person's interpretation is that they play with a red ball. Another person's interpretation is that there's a pool of blood. I mean, another person's interpretation is that their base chakra is clear or needs clearing. Another person's interpretation is that you get the picture, you know, that whatever, I could go on, that there's the point is becoming an effective animal communicator is interpretation with accuracy. However, that said, it's going to be what you are a vibrational match for. Your ability to receive and translate in a real and accurate way will always be corresponding to your vibrational match in frequency. That's what makes the difference between a really outstanding animal communicator and someone who's maybe just beginning or just learning or hasn't learned to just decipher between all the different potentials and to know which one's real, true, and accurate. That's how we develop our gifts. That's why this is not a pill. You don't learn it overnight.
Right.
You learn it over time.
Yeah, it does take time. And learning, what are the guides that I speak with, the collective group, they say it takes learning to discern that ever subtle feeling you may feel within you that tells you where the words are coming from. So you guys get what she's talking about. I know you do. We talk about this all the time on this channel. Everything is a progression, and you've got to learn to decipher that, discern it, and feel it, and then you'll understand more about it. So brilliant. So are you going to tell us about the pig?
Say that pig. Okay, there's two pig stories. One was in Maui, still very relatively early. I was working on a rabbit farm, like volunteering to help rescue rabbits. It wasn't like they were all rescue rehabilitation. And there was a whole farm there, and they had a pig on the farm. And on one of my breaks, I just went outside and was talking, like conversing with the pig, but not in a deliberate way. I was just hearing things like, good day, and I'm your pig, I'm a pig, and I like living here, that kind of things. And I was like, oh my God, this is so incredible. And I'm like, I cannot believe people eat these things. And he just, boom, dashes to the end. And he's like, we're done.
Oh, wow.
And I say, well, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't realize you were hearing me. I'm not advanced enough. I'm so sorry. I really didn't. I was in my own experience. And he's like, nope, you tell people that we do not consent or agree to be eaten, period. That's it. It's against our free will. And I got like this download then after that.
Wow.
That always me about, there's a lot of animals that have different viewpoints about being eaten, but pigs, I knowing never have agreed. But this is a story I really meant to say about the pigs. I was in Costa Rica, and I was staying at this cute little bed and breakfast type place, and the woman who was the owner of of the hotel, she said to me, bed and breakfast, she knew I was an animal communicator, so she brought this baby pig that she had adopted. Oh. And the pig said to me, I have a better one. I could go on and on. This cow story was so good. But anyway, this pig said to me, where's my mommy? Where's my mommy? This is before she even asked me to communicate.
Oh.
Where's my mommy? Where's my mommy? And I looked at her and I was like, what? This pig is named Sandy, asking me to find her mommy. Do you know what happened to the mommy? Right. So she said, well, the mommy went to slaughter, or is going to slaughter. And heartbroken. And I was like, how in the world am I going to communicate this? Like, what the?
Yeah.
And so I went to the pig and I said, the baby pig, and I said, your mommy is moving on her journey to another part of her existence where she won't have a physical body anymore. And this is not easy to communicate necessarily because it's like words, and this animal doesn't necessarily, animals don't all know a lot of words, especially that animal's from Costa Rica. It's translating from Spanish to English.
Right.
Like, I get that. We can do that energetically, telepathically, but I'm not entirely sure now how it's going to translate coming from me because I don't speak Spanish. Anyway, what I hear back is, well, can I say goodbye before she goes? So I say this to the human, is there any way she can say goodbye before this happens? And the woman said, I think I can arrange that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. So I said, all right, what do you want me to communicate back to this baby? Like, I can't make a promise that you can't fulfill. And I was told, like, say that we will do our best. If it's possible, we will do our best. And the pig seemed content with that. I mean, it's a sad story, right? But this is This is the thing, is how we can help, because at least it addressed a baby pig's need to some degree. It's like we have the ability to really help one another, even in the reality. But the piece of information that's so relevant here, I think that's so important for anyone who wants to learn animal communication, is that what I did, and I don't mean to be tooting my own horn here, but in that state was I maintained neutrality. In order to really, I didn't go into the emotional drama or sadness. I maintained a neutrality so that I could be the translator without the judgment. That we have to do. If you go to the world, like some government thing, and you got like a translator using their hands for the death, or they're not sitting there saying that's sorry. They're not saying something like that. They're just translating.
Right. Very good. That's a great example, what you said. So you got to step out of it, be in the neutral place. Okay, to be a good healer on any level. And I was a therapist for years. To be even a therapist, I had to get my judgment out, step aside, and be in the neutral place to hear the information and work from a place of that. So I get what you're saying. I think everybody here does too. My question is, do you know if that little baby pig got to say anything to it?
I don't know what ended up happening.
So
I have tons of stories like that. I have a really amazing. Can I say one more?
Oh, please. This is. I think everybody's going to enjoy these stories.
Oh my gosh! I went to upstate New York in Rhinebeck to take a class on healing with animals, and we went to a farm, a not-for-profit farm where they rescue farm animals. And I went to go work with this cow to practice the healing with the animals. And this is a particular technique. So I stood next to the cow, and I thought that I was just going to go into the healing. But the first thing I hear is, "Oh, don't waste your time on me. I'm an old man."
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was a cow though. But anyway, it was, maybe it wasn't, but he referred to himself as an old man. It had old man energy, even if it was a bull. But the point was, so then I say, "Oh no, oh my God." I immediately fall in love with this cow. Like, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're so wonderful." He had a big, huge tumor, benevolent tumor, like not malignant, under his jaw. Huge.
Oh, wow.
Right. So that's what part of the healing was going to be about. And he said, "Oh, don't waste your time on me." And I said, "No, I'm like in love with this cow immediately. Like, it's just so humble." And then cow says, "This tumor, I carry the weight of all those before me who died in this slaughterhouse, in a slaughter." And I thought, "Oh my God, I'm so, so sorry. I love you so much. You matter so much." So we just had some beautiful healing and communication and just sharing love. Like, he's like, I just love all those cows, right? Okay. We finished the session. It's absolutely beautiful. He's just the most beautiful, amazing cow. And I go back. I don't know anything that he told me. I go back and I tell the people at the farm sanctuary this story. And they say, "Lori, that's absolutely true. That cow was the last of 2 rescued from a slaughterhouse."
Oh, I got chills right now through my whole body, up through my head, down through my toes. Whoa.
Yeah. But I will say the healing that I did was to resolve a lot of the trauma. And this is, we don't have time to go into it so much, but I did healing on the trauma for all that cow's lineage.
Oh, I see.
So that we could resolve some of the trauma. Because when the trauma is resolved, okay, we're really going out there.
That's okay. Let's do it. This channel goes out there.
All right, good. If we can resolve a trauma, then, and we can gift the gift of the trauma. What was the gifts that were meant to be received, which had to do with teaching humans honor and respect. Okay, that's so much more into this. But if we can resolve the trauma, we can actually heal it for the lineages so they do not have to repeat it or perpetuate it. So we're doing this energetically, resolving the trauma, even for those animals who had crossed.
Yes.
So what ended up happening was that cow was like, thank you so much for helping even my loved ones who no longer are alive.
So it takes away, in a sense, that fear they had going into slaughter, which they have, and it helps kind of like when you do regression work or past life therapy with a person, it allows you to clear up the residue that's stuck there of the trauma.
Yes.
Okay.
It allows you to clear up the residue so that that residue is now neutralized.
Yes.
So that the cows who had that, even in the non-physical, in their transition, do not have to reincarnate and have a similar experience.
Lovely. Very, very well said. That's really interesting work. So I've got to bring up the topic of this. People are going to ask this question. So where do you stand with, veganism, vegetarianism, eating meat, etc.? Is that something you can go into with us here?
Yeah. Well, for me, I will go into that. So because I've done so much of my own work on becoming neutral, I don't have a particular judgment on whether people choose that, because I understand that's part of our journey here of us working through that. So I don't have a judgment, or I'm not like of a vegan mind that you should not eat meat. What I am is doing my best to be as neutral, to translate for the animals. So for example, pigs, don't eat them. Don't eat them. It's karmically, it creates a debt. It creates a debt, what we call a debt, which means a karmic imprint, which means you have to work through something. They also carry the energy of deliberately, an energy of grudge, certain energies that are not beneficial, really harmful and detrimental, because they're teaching humans a cause and effect relationship. They're teaching humans a karmic response of cause and effect. If you eat us against our will, you will incur a debt. It might sound to our perspective as wrong or bad, but it's part of the whole cycle of evolution on planet Earth and what we're learning here and how we're evolving. Cows say, on the other hand, if you're going to eat us, please, number one, stop taking our babies from us. Veal is like a no-no. Veal, calves. That's a no-no. But they say, if you're going to eat us, at least let us live out our lives on fields and green pastures, and let us have good lives and treat us as sentient. Don't force us to be steroid injected. Don't force us to take hormones. Don't force us to breed in these inhumane ways, and don't take our babies. But let us have good lives and let us transition in a sentient, in a respectful and honoring way. Fascinating. I've done for years work on cows. I've been working with cows and the farm lives. I know I'm not alone. I get groups to work with me.
Wow.
We humans, light workers, and life for cows has been improving. And hormones has been improving. Now less and less steroid injections, less labeling, hormone free. That cheeses are being produced in a more healthy way. That is shifting slowly, not fast enough, but nonetheless, it's happening. So that is really great. Different animals say different things. I want to say one other thing, the fish. When I've asked fish,
what would the fish say? That's something I don't think I'm aware of right now.
Especially in Florida, it's amazing because there's...
I have talked to dolphins, but dolphins are not fish. But we're talking about fish now. Okay.
Fish, the response I got over and over again was, huh? What do you mean?
What?
We eat each other.
What?
So wild fish caught in the wild... I'm not talking, this is different. We could go into this. It could be an hour and a half conversation just on this, because how they're raised, how they're bred. But wild fish caught in the wild, humanely caught, or, pole caught.
Yeah. When
a fisherman is respectful, doesn't make the animal just sit there on the beach struggling, they're not resisting the death or being eaten. They're not judging it as wrong.
That's interesting, fascinating. Now, Laura, I got to tell you, the guides told me, we were asking. I'm a vegetarian, mostly almost a vegan. I go vacillate between having dairy products or not, like maybe cheese. Yeah, so that's kind of where I am, and that's just I've been like that for like. I was 21. That's when I started.
Yeah, I'm also like a juicerian. Like my diet is basically afternoon juice or midday juice, raw, big, huge thing of raw juice. that I make myself as often as I can. Like I have enough, I make enough for a week. And then usually afternoon coffee, because I do love, organic coffee. And then an evening meal. I do a lot of breatharian work.
I heard you talk about that before.
Yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
my meal is typically like beans and, I mean, I will do eggs because chickens who are on farms, like my eggs come from my brother's farm. They're free range chickens. They're very happy. They're eating all kinds of great food. They give their eggs and he separates out fertile eggs from non-fertile eggs.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm cool with eggs that way. And chickens have said, we'll share with you. Treat us well. Chickens have said that in my communication. So anyway, that's my meal. Is usually like in the dinner evening hours is like vegetables. Sometimes I will eat fish since I live in Florida. But typically that's my thing. That's how I eat. I'm mostly beans and, mostly.
And breath. But I'm a more of a plant-based diet. And that's something that I've been doing this since I was like 21 for many, many years, you guys. Yeah. So I wanted to go back to what the guides had told me about the animals, and you mentioned the cows, and I got to tell you, this concurs with what they said to us. They said, I was talking about diet and stuff, and they were saying, and I don't think I've shared this with you guys out there in the audience yet. This is something that's in one of my books that I'm writing about right now. But they talked about the best diet for humanity, for humans specifically, and they said, they said short life cycle light structures, but if you must eat long life cycle light structures, make sure they're fed short life cycle light structures. They're talking about if you're going to eat the animals such as cows, and again, I'm like Lori, I'm not here to judge. We're all doing our own thing. We're here just getting through life and figuring things out. If you're going to eat the animals, they say make sure they're fed short life cycle structures, light structures. The light structures they're talking about are like the vegetables, the fruits, the grasses, the greens. Yes. Those things, because that's what they want to eat. Yes. And then we eat that too, as she was saying, and it's they're humanely treated. They're usually, pasture raised and fed, and they get to eat this wonderful, lovely grass. Yes. So we've had many conversations ourselves with the buffalo, the cow, and some of these other animals that are livestock and that are not as well. And the buffalo said, Lori, of all things, I think you'll appreciate this. The buffalo said, we were okay with your native people eating us. They would use every single aspect of ourselves. And the buffalo speak just like Native Americans, very stoic, beautiful people, strong. And they said, and the grass will gladly lay itself down for us to feed us and nourish us so we can nourish humanity as well. And I thought, what a beautiful poem in a sense. But that's how it works, you guys. At least that's what I'm hearing. Any comments about that, Lori?
Well, I'd just like to add one other thing. Yeah, that's very shaman, and I do agree with that. But what I will say is we're now in a new paradigm, what I call a 5D paradigm, which is a whole kind of other conversation. Really and in the new paradigm, we can become breatharian. I do that as well as sun gazing. I do a lot of sun gazing, which the sun will nourish us and really feed us when we learn how to do that properly. So I use that a lot, and I think we are evolving out of eating other animals. I think we are evolving. I think that as we understand that when we take death into our body, it accelerates the death process. That is true. And I think that we activate what's called death hormones when we take death into the body. So if we take a dead animal, we are activating death hormones and we are accelerating our death process. Now, do we know that in the old paradigm? No, we don't. That's crazy. Are we learning that in the new paradigm and making appropriate changes? Yes. So I realize that's very out there information, but this is what you get when you start tapping into higher consciousness and bringing that in. The other thing I'll just say about that, as we make choices to change our light body, the evolving human genome, as we are evolving into Homo divinicus or Homo luminous, if we use, for that's what the Homo sapien will be called in the future, our light body will not sustain so much of that density. It's just not supporting our evolution. So I believe we'll be navigating off that. Finally, I'll say one other thing, that all of the food that our body believes we need. So if we think I'm a meat eater, I have to eat meat, all it is programming in the unconscious. A lot of it, what we call reptilian program from the reptilian brainstem. The reptilian ancestors ate meat. We're not all we are evolving beyond reptilian. We're awakening so many other aspects of our dormant, what we haven't known, star family races, other planetary aspects that have been dormant within us that we just barely even know about. Those parts of us many of them do not require us to eat meat at all. For example, a Palladian ancestry very often could be much more light-based, vegetarian-based, air-based. So we can clear that programming out and become just, I don't need meat. I don't need meat. There's so many other wonderful substitutions anyway, but it's a choice. It is, and we still live in a free will reality. That still is here, and we all have choice, and that's what we're choosing. We're just becoming conscious of what we get to choose now.
And you guys see how we might need to have Lori back? I knew there was a lot to uncover, and I know she covers a lot of topics, and she does a lot of stuff in the world on many different levels. And I love her work into the fifth dimensional and how we start activating our multidimensional self. And Lori, that brings up a topic of, and I don't want to go too far into it because I want to come back to helping people learn to do animal communication. But I do want to say, or ask you about this. Is part of that evolution about what they call our junk DNA kind of activating this? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
DNA is a huge part of it. Understand, the fifth dimensional paradigm is still, to me, kind of within the matrix, but it's a new matrix. It's like a God matrix, so to speak. It's a matrix of love. So you're still existing in this physical reality, but it's a whole new way of existing.
Yeah.
Right? When we really fully exit the matrix, that's another conversation. You go way beyond that. But the point is yes, this is in the DNA. So we've been operating the old paradigm with 2 active strands of DNA. We're bridging the gap and realizing there's 10 strands of dormant DNA. Science knows that. The new paradigm, we're actively participating in awakening that dormant DNA, clearing out the first 2 strands, which I call corrupted DNA, because they have things like diseases and, lineages of my family ancestry has breast cancer, diabetes runs in our family. That's all just corrupted. It's just gifts that our ancestors didn't know how to claim. So they were out of alignment, and it recorded in the DNA as something harmful or detrimental because they were living out of alignment with source. So in the new paradigm, we can resolve those issues, clear and resolve them, clean up the corrupted DNA of the first 2 strands, and activate the dormant potential, in the next 10 strands. And that's a huge part of what awakens our ability to know all this extrasensory stuff. Like what I'm talking about doesn't sound crazy to people who have activated a lot of their DNA, just like you're so tuned into all of that, Karen.
Yeah. And I would say, some of the earlier steps are being able to use your psychic gifts and your empathic abilities, intuitive abilities. That's the beginning of awakening this junk DNA, guys. Shh.
Yeah.
You know the secret now.
Right. And science doesn't even call it junk anymore. Now they're calling it dormant, but
yeah, it's changing. They're even changing as we move into the 5th dimension. Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. And there's all new operating systems, and there's templates in there. There's templates that awaken dormant potential, just wisdom beyond what we can imagine, like just incredible wisdom. And there's templates for joy, for optimism, for excitement, for enthusiasm, for living our best lives. These are things we don't even have in the old paradigm. The old paradigm is like, there's nothing you can do about it, so let's just go home and then drink some beer and watch TV.
Yep, let's numb out.
Oh, well, that's just the way it is. Life sucks and then you die. The old paradigm, the old operating systems are not enoughness. I don't have enough money. This or that, or you get just so many of them in there. There's corrupted programs like sexual misery, gender confusion. What gender am I? He, she, they? I mean, what? Now I'm a they? All that's gender confusion, and there's no wrongness to it. It's part of an old paradigm. We went through that experience. People are still going through it. But the new paradigm, there's no confusion. There's clarity. There's operating systems and templates for clarity, for certainty. Certainty does not mean know-it-all.
No.
Certainty means I have a certainty about what I'm choosing, what I'm doing, what life is about, how I'm navigating. When you couple actions with certainty, you can pair actions like, I'm going to act with a kind of certainty that this is right and good for me, instead of, I'm not sure. Is it right? Is it good? I don't know. That's a fear-based program. So old paradigms, fear-based. New paradigms, love, joy-based, peace-based. All that stuff is in the dormant DNA. I could go on and on and on.
Yeah, and you know, when I hear you speak, Lori, and I'm sure you out there, when you're watching the show and you hear her speak, can you not feel the resonance in your body when she talks about the fear-based and the stuckness of not knowing and not even knowing to go beyond that? And then you can also feel it when she talks about this ability to find that joy and activate these programs. Because I know you guys out there understand this, because you're working on this. We're all working on this, and it is a part of our evolution. And this really takes us back to the animal communication. It's like we're awakening that program within us, or that new way of being able to be open to hear other species. Mm-hmm. So Lori, let's talk to the audience now about some techniques or things they can do themselves to begin to activate this new awareness within themselves.
Yeah, well, depending on where you're at, in terms of your practice, I mean, one of the first things I always tell, and I tell this in my psychic development classes too, is go set an egg timer and turn everything off. TV, computer, everything electronic. No bings, no bongs, no, no little tings, no phone.
Right.
An egg timer. And sit still. If you can only do it for 1 minute, and just breathe and listen to the silence. You have to practice listening to the silence. That's clairaudience. Another thing I tell people in my early stages is, in the nighttime, put a mask on your eyes. You can put a crystal, a little teeny crystal to the mask.
Oh, okay.
And in the darkness, look what you see. And initially people think they see nothing, but there's so much to see. There's so much. That's a great way to start. You're activating your clairvoyance with that and your clairaudience. But just with animals directly, just start asking animals, hello, I'd love to hear from you. Or I'd love to, what would you share with me today? You start playing with animals who are very willing. Like, great animals to play with are salamanders.
I love it.
Or those little geckos, right? Because they're so conversing. And it's harder sometimes to do it with your own animals at first, because your perspective a lot of times is like, what you think you know.
Yeah.
You have like attachment. So really neutral animals that will sort of sit still for a while, like geckos are great ones to start with. You just sit with them, just be with them. Geckos will sit with you for 20 minutes just doing this.
Or push-ups like this.
Right.
Well, that's the lizards. Those are lizards I have in my backyard. They do push-ups. But you're right. They'll sit there and they'll look at you, and that's really good advice to start with an animal, a creature like that.
And just really have no expectation or attachment. Don't try to get anything. Don't jump to what most humans do in the early phases is they jump to the conclusion that they can't do it in 10 or 5 minutes. Like, you think gifts come to you in 5 minutes? No, this is not a pill. I tell my people all the time, my students, my friends, it's not a pill. This is not going to, it did for me in a way, but it was part of my mission because I cultivated it in so many other lifetimes. If it's not, and it doesn't mean it's not part of your mission. It just means for most of us, we have to work at it more. That's what I'm saying. And I worked at it for years. I just sat there with animals. Be in the inquiry. Be nice. The wonder. I wonder if I could pick anything up here. I wonder if this animal might respond to me. I wonder what might happen. And the other wonder energy is like, would it be possible for me to exchange some information or energy with this animal? What would be possible here? That's the energy of wonder and inquiry. And then just be open, play with it, be not linking it to time, impatience. Just be in the infinite. When it happens, however it happens, whenever it happens, I'll allow that.
It's like being in the field of possibilities, the field of dreams. We'll go with that analogy, but I like that you said you have wonder and inquisitive nature and play with it. And not worry so much, you guys. I really hear what Lori's saying. Not worry so much that, oh my God, it didn't happen. I sat down, did it for 5 minutes, or I sat down and did it for a week. You guys, it really does take time with any of this work. Even using the board, we talk about that all the time. I can't say it enough. It's practice, patience, perseverance, and I'm going to add play. Be open. That's play. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, Lori, it's been an absolute delight. We're coming to the point where we're going to end this episode. We're going to have you back. I really hope you'll come back.
I love sharing. For me, this is like, it's service, but it's also my joy, because I love sharing in open forums where people are really interested, you know, and they get to learn. And it is, I always feel like it's part of my contribution, you know, how I get to be of service. So thank you. I mean, thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I feel that joy, and it just gets me excited. So before we go, what final words would you like to tell the audience that you haven't said yet? And then we'll talk about where people can find you. And you guys, all links.
I just want to say limitless possibilities are available for us and our animals, and for us to stop limiting ourselves, just open to the limitless possibilities and the limitless potentials that are available. We're in a whole new paradigm, which does require us to break through our own limiting thinking, our own limiting beliefs, to go into our unconscious and clear it and resolve that stuff for ourselves, the things we're even unconscious that we're unconscious of. We never stop growing and advancing. We never stop learning and evolving. And we're at a pivotal time where that is so intensified. So get on board with it. Like, get on board, because this is the time. And our animals are definitely teaching us and helping us with that. And they're here to help assist us in that massive growth spurt that is happening for humanity. So I guess that's what I want to leave people with. And I would love to give people some free gifts if I could. Can I?
Yes, you can. We'd love that.
For the animal lovers, you could go to my website, lauriespagna.com/free gifts/animals. There is so much good stuff there. There's entire work, like classes on alternative things you can start doing right away. There's stuff on learning animal communication, like free gifts that are content rich, not just, you know, like lame, you know, like
yeah.
There's great stuff there. So that's lauriespagna.com/free gifts/animals. And then if you're interested in the DNA part, you can go to lauriespagna.com/free gifts/DNA. You can learn all about activating your DNA, your dormant DNA. You'll get a gifted activation from me so you can sample it out. Tons of great stuff there. And of course, there's tons of great information, classes, and workshops at my website, lauriespagna.com, where they can learn more. And I'm all over YouTube.
She is.
So, you know, and Facebook, I do post there. And yeah, I'd love to stay in touch with people. So. And
your books, where can they find your books?
They're on Amazon. They just go to Amazon and search my name, Laurie Spagna. They'll find the books. There's really great stuff on Kindle. It's so cheap, and the books literally say an Animals in the Afterlife book.
Yes.
Animal Communication Telepathy. There's a workshop, a workbook in there, and I mean, it's the step-by-step approach. So.
It's great, you guys. Go to our website, check it out. A lot of information on her, and also all the links will be below. They'll be below in the About the Video section, so you can get her link there. And of course, it was posted across the videos. You guys have watched it, but you can get it below. So, Lori, thank you again. It was a great joy having you.
I'm so sorry, but we're going to see each other at Conscious Life Expo.
Yes, we are.
Want to meet me in person, they can come to Conscious Life Expo in February. It's like a week and a half from now.
That's right.
At Los Angeles Hilton, I'll be doing active workshops and seminars there. And there's one on activating the DNA. They can come in person and experience it. So I would love to meet you in person. I know I'm going to meet you there.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. We're going to see Lori. We're going to hook up. You guys, be sure to say hello and tell her that you met her on our channel here, Creative Visions TV, Karen Dahlman. Now, Lori, thank you again, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. So there you have it, you guys. Here's a woman who is living in the field of possibilities. She's open to communicate with the animals, activating her DNA, and there's so much more. She's really into the multidimensionality of ourselves. And she's helping others realize that within themselves so that they too can start moving into the fifth dimension. Yes, we talked about animal communication, but as you can see, opening up those gifts really opens us up to many other possibilities that are held within ourselves. Remember, the world is within. So get out there now and go explore this vast universe within yourself. And until next time, this was Creative Visions TV. I'm Karen Dahlman, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye, guys.